Researchers in Sweden are using video game technology, almost like a mental gymnasium, to help children with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. What they're training in this research is something called working memory. The researchers are also finding fascinating things in the lives of children which improve the same skill.
Working memory is the ability to retain information for a short period of time. For example, remembering instruction until you've completed a task, or keeping relevant information in mind while solving a problem. It's also important for reading comprehension, understanding the context, remembering the context, and it's been shown to be very important for mathematical problem solving.
And the relationship with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder?
Well, it turns out that there is a very close relationship between working memory and controlled attention. So it could explain why children are unable to complete long tasks.
And you've developed training for working memory?
Right. Together with computer programmers, we developed a program where children do working memory tasks over and over again, and the difficulty level is adapted to their capacity limit, so they're trying to push their limit. So they're doing this about half an hour a day for 5 days a week for 5 weeks.
To ensure that children with poor attention spans stick to the training tasks, the Swedish researchers made them like video games, designed to encourage the kids to remember where an increasing number of objects were in space.
We used MR scanning to just show that we can have training-related changes in the brain. And that was the first time people showed that this is a plastic system. Working memory is not a fixed capacity, as people had regarded it up to then.
You get 20 kroners, I take 80 kroners.
It's randomized, blinded, controlled trials with measurements before and after. And there we can see that we can improve working memory, and when we ask parents and teachers to rate attentiveness in everyday life, we can see that that decreases. The symptoms of inattention decreases with this.
That's the ability to complete tasks and stay focused. But one of the things that drives parents nuts when they've got a child with ADHD is their impulsivity, the inability that they've got to control their own behaviour. Does your training do anything for that?
No, there are two types of symptoms in ADHD. It's the inattention, and then there's hyperactivity and impulsivity. And working memory has to do with the inattention. That's what we're targeted. But even though this drives parents nuts, it's been shown that it is not very predictive of future academic problems, the hyperactivity and impulsivity. But it's the inattention that plays a role for future academic performance, for example, for these children.
And was there an improvement in academic performance in the children in your training program?
We didn't measure that in the first study. There is a study from Great Britain showing improvements on math performance.
Were these children on Ritalin and dexamphetamine, the so-called stimulants that are used to treat ADHD?
In our first studies, we had children that were not treated with any stimulants. But later studies has looked at the effect and combination here. And children, even though they are already on Ritalin, for example, they still improve on top of that and improve their working memory.
And has Ritalin or dexamphetamine been shown to improve working memory?
In some studies, it does improve working memory, especially the visuospatial working memory. It's of course more work to do this training compared to taking a pill. But the effects are also long-lasting, and I think it could be for the individuals, they feel like they have improved their ability. It's not just some outside help.
The Swedish researchers have also been looking at what affects working memory in children who don't have ADHD. And what they found is that to some extent it's affected by our genes. In other words, we've inherited our working memory from our parents. But it's also influenced by what skills we encourage in our children.
We looked at a number of environmental effects like playing computer games, watching TV, physical activity, and playing a musical instrument. And of all the variables we looked at so far, playing a musical instrument seems to have the strongest effect. So that improved both working memory and problem solving in a dose-dependent way.
So the longer you played the instrument, the more benefit you got?
Right, the more you played each week, the more your working memory developed, which makes sense from a training perspective, that playing a musical instrument is something that demands both attention and working memory. And if you do that, you can improve those abilities.
So which is the horse and which is the cart? I mean, some would say that if you've taken up a musical instrument, you already have a good attention span and good working memory. So which came first, the musical instrument or the working memory?
We tried our best to co-vary out the effect of father's education and mother's education, etc. And there are other studies where they actually have randomized children to either playing a musical instrument or taking drama classes. And they also see effects on cognition from playing a musical instrument.
So you think it is an effect of the musical instrument?
I do.
Some say that different musical instruments have different effects on the brain, and that, for example, the piano is more mind-expanding than the violin. Did you find that?
We looked for it and compared effect of playing instruments such as the piano, where you have 2 lines of score that you need to read out. And that seemed to have slightly better cognitive effect, but it was not significant. So the big difference was between playing a musical instrument and not.
One of the things that people observe in children who've got ADHD is they seem to watch a heck of a lot of television. Did you find anything that decreased the working memory?
No, we did not. And we looked at both TV watching and game playing. And if anything, there was a slight positive effect of game playing, actually.